Well, we're getting stuck into some more of those transfer stories now for the next 7 or 8 minutes. We're going to start with Gareth Bale this morning. It's a story that's emerged over the course of the weekend. Beijing Guoan have emerged as the frontrunners to sign him. So this comes as links with Manchester United, Spurs, Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain have all gone cold. This is probably due to the fact that he costs like £1 million to pay per week. So would it be sad for all of us to see the Welshman leave European football at 30 years of age?
Well, I'm sad for Gareth Bale because this is a guy who has helped Real Madrid win the Champions League. This is a guy who's had a pretty good career, just if you take it purely on stats with Real and in terms of trophies won. And Zidane has had obviously no faith in him whatsoever. He joked last year, and I now wonder if it even was a joke when they played Osasuna, that if he had a fourth sub to make, he wouldn't have brought Gareth Bale on. He used 11 subs at the weekend and Bale wasn't used, so it's a very clear message being sent out to Gareth Bale. I mean, look, Bale's in a situation whereby he's earning €17 million a year. And if you're him, you think, right, the club gave me a contract for 5 years. I'm more than entitled to stay here.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean...
Well, if it goes two ways.
Yeah, I am surprised to hear you say that you feel a bit sad for somebody who's earning that amount of money. You're not, like, it's sad to see any top talent leave European football, and good luck to him and all that sort of thing. I do wonder if there is... I don't wonder. I know for a fact that deep down in Gareth Bale there is this competitor, this person who got him to the very top of the game that wants to get back and actually play top-level football. If you're not going to be granted that at Real Madrid, sure, you're going to earn a lot more money than, say, if you go to Manchester United or any team who will give you first-team football. But what is the legacy of that? The legacy of being a lame duck in the squad and not playing whatsoever?
But why is he like he's fallen out of love with him so quickly? It seems, you know, Zidane. You know, like he's saying, you know, it's nothing personal. There comes a time where things are done because they need to be done. I've not got anything against him, which smacks up. I actually do. Yeah. Like if you're really coming out and saying that, it's actually well, I actually do have something against him. But it's. I'd love to see him back at Spurs, but that is an absolutely outrageous salary that you'd have to fork out.
Yeah, and especially the situation that Manchester United are in a good position where everything's trundling along nicely. If Alexis Sanchez had gone well, they'd be like, look at this guy, we've paid him loads of money and this is just the way football is. Yeah. Whereas they look at Alexis Sanchez now and it's like, this has been a complete disaster. This could be a disaster again, so they're not in a position to take that sort of risk.
Well, it's the fact as well that Bale has almost exactly the same profile as Sanchez here in terms of his age profile, in terms of the wage demands, in terms of the injuries that he's had. You'd have a lot of concerns because one thing that Madrid fans have jeered him about, quite aside from not maybe getting into Spanish culture, is the fact that he has been injured so often, particularly for big games for them. And you're thinking, if I'm going to be spending, even if he took a slight pay cut and you're still paying him 15 or 16 million euro a year, you want a guy who's performing every week. Yeah. And maybe once bitten, twice shy with Sanchez, where he's earning something similar. Manchester
United have finally agreed terms on signing Leicester City and England defender Harry Maguire. £80 million is going to be the fee according to the Independent and Bleacher Report. So we expect this to be confirmed in the coming day, lads. Is it a good idea? Are Manchester United getting ripped off here is the question.
Yes, but at the same time they need a defender. They need probably more than one central defender realistically. Like Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, will they work as a pairing given that neither are particularly quick? I know Lindelof had a good end to last season, but are they the right pairing together?
Potentially not, actually. It's a good point.
That's when you spend a lot of money on a defender.
The logic is you will bring up the standard entirely if you have Harry Maguire there, but it's also about the styles and the combination that may be. It may not be. You might be onto something there.
Well, like United are paying that premium that they always pay when they go to another English team. Like, would Leicester be asking for this much if they didn't know the way the market is at the moment and they know that Man United probably have money to burn as well? Like, if Crystal Palace can get 50 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's not even a full international yet, I'd be thinking, right, Harry Maguire is a key player for England. He's still young enough and has got plenty of time left. I'd be taking them for every penny I could.
Yeah.
So Bayern Munich have emerged as a surprise candidate to sign Crystal Palace's Wilfried Zaha after failing to land Leroy Sané. So it seems Sané's not going to go there. Everton are also being linked with a move for the striker. Arsenal, of course, have offered £40 million for him. If Munich are interested, like, where does he go and how much does he sell for? Does he want to go to Arsenal? Does he not? Does he want to leave the Premier League? Ultimately, it'll come down to how much Bayern Munich offer, I presume.
Yeah, but I suppose he's living in London. Like, would he want to make the difference, make that change? If Bayern want him to go after him, he's a good talent. He is a good talent. What age is he? Like, I mean, he's
26.
Yeah, so you know, so he's plenty left in him. Yeah, I think if Bayern want, they go get.
Good Irish news this morning, and sticking with Palace, Sky Sports report they've tabled an £8 million bid for James McCarthy. Newcastle are also reported to be interested. Crystal Palace would be a good move for James McCarthy, wouldn't it?
I'm surprised Crystal Palace are in for James McCarthy. It'd be a fantastic move because Cardiff were fairly heavily linked with him last week. I mean, James McCarthy needs to just get fit and needs to get games, even just from an Irish perspective. Need him playing ahead of some crucial qualifiers coming up in the autumn. So I'm hoping wherever he goes, he's getting football. But Crystal Palace would be a magic move for him because he's been injured for 2 years now.
Yeah, what was his injury? Has it just been constant one injury for the last basically 2 years, or is he just repeatedly breaking down?
It's certainly been a repeated breakdown throughout his career, but I think the last 2 years has been the one injury, hasn't it? It's been, I'm not quite sure of the entire recent past of his injury troubles, but like you do kind of feel for him in terms of that he has been stunted so much by his injuries.
So much football.
And it's really, really frustrating. We do have your beloved Spurs in the news this morning, Anthony. They're reported to be close to keeping Eriksen on a 200 grand a week deal. So the question here is this a coup for Spurs, or is he just there because Hazard has gone to Madrid?
Yeah, I think he's needed, but he's only needed if he wants to stay at the same time. But he was on a pretty, his contract up to this point was pretty shabby. So 200k a week, is he worth that? He probably is. I think he's a specific type of player that is very, very hard to find, and he plays a specific role for Spurs, which they badly need. And they badly need, especially when they started losing strikers, which they showed at the end of the season last year. Like, he filled in there fairly well. I think his importance to Spurs, though, will lessen this year, which is strange that they're obviously going to up his remuneration, but I think it will with the players that they're bringing in around him. But I think it'll maybe take a bit of pressure off him a bit more, because I think they always look to him to come up with the big moments, especially when Kane was out.
I think Eriksen's chances are, Moan, in terms of when he put his comments out at the start of the summer. He kind of said, look, I'm very open to leaving the club. I've only got a year left in the contract, but if Spurs were to give me the money I need, I would stay, maybe reluctantly. And like Barcelona and Real Madrid don't have the money they're obviously in a massive squad overhaul in both cases and spending big money already, so neither of them were likely to be moved, and I couldn't see Spurs selling him to someone else in the Premier League. So the
it's good ambition by Spurs. Yeah, and they need to start showing that.
Is it been a good window or a bad window from Spurs? Because
I think it's been good.
Nathan was saying last week that perhaps the full-back positions, they've clearly lost a couple of players there. We don't know what Danny Rose might do. Trippier's obviously gone to Atletico Madrid.
I think Rose was pulling a bit of an Eriksen one, though, as well. I think he was kind of saying, listen, I will go. But and I think Rose played really, really well at the end of last season. Like, I think he was light years ahead of anyone else. Like, Trippier, I think I was happy enough to see him go, to be honest with you. I didn't think he was... I thought he was actually pretty poor near the end of the season last year, and he seemed nearly kind of disinterested. He was lacking in a few games. Do you remember? Was it the final where he just didn't chase back? He got caught in possession, turned, didn't bother.
Really, since the World Cup, he just kind of left his phone behind.
He actually has been. Yeah, I think it's been decent for them. Probably maybe one or two more. But they've like where you probably would have been worried at the start of the window, saying they may actually do their usual and sell off everyone and get no one in. They actually haven't.
New Newcastle boss Steve Bruce, he's interested in bringing Andy Carroll back to St James's Park. Could the 30-year-old free agent make an impact there, or has his time passed?
His time has passed, but Newcastle need a striker desperately because they've lost both of their top scorers from last season. Jose Perez gone to Leicester, and China-bound Rondon, who I think a lot of Newcastle fans were hoping they would keep after he scored 12 goals from last season. At this stage, I say beggars can't be choosers. If you're a Newcastle fan, probably just get a striker in, but there's no way Andy Carroll stays fit. There's no way Andy Carroll scores enough goals. I don't think there's any way he's going to be welcome back either. I don't think he left in a particularly good way when he went to West Ham. Went to Liverpool even before he went to West Ham. It's pretty grim if you're a Newcastle fan and you're relying on Andy Carroll to get the goals. And then last one very quickly before we go, fresh reports that De Gea will sign a mega deal to stay at Old Trafford. So regardless of what else happens here, this is a good news story for Manchester United, or is it back to the old money thing that you look at the figure and say, well, that provides an automatic question mark? Well, money isn't going to stop goals going in. David De Gea probably will. I think his motivation maybe dropped a little bit over last season. It's the first kind of iffy season he's had since he went to Old Trafford. Considering he's been there since 2011. Like, he's been remarkable. Won their Player of the Year 4 different times. If you're a United fan, you don't care how much David De Gea gets paid. It's probably too little given what he has to face.